Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Yeah, this is not going to work. That's not it. Hold on. Um, I got everything configured for this thing I did. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why did it do that? I did a. I'm writing this on too. Yeah, that's not good. Let's go this way. All right. Yeah, not perfect. Hi, I'm Skip Elsummer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And sometimes we rush to take a shower just before the show starts, and then scramble because we thought we had things ready to go, but we forgot that we switched things around for a audio commentary that we did for Shake Hands with Danger yesterday afternoon with Jim Stringer, the man who wrote the music and did a lot of work for Centron Films. He told some great stories, and I'm hoping the disc that's going to feature it is going to come out in May, but I'm hoping I can maybe sneak some of it earlier. Anyways, so yeah, I'm obviously all discombobulated. Maybe I'll blame Friday the 13th, which I just realized last night was what today was going to be. And I was like, oh, I should put together a bunch of these films and show something related to that. And then I realized, no, I've already done that twice. So I wasn't going to do it a third time. So today, there's nothing about superstition. There's nothing about luck or luckiness or shamrocks or clovers or ladders. Oh, yeah, so funny story related to that. I swear I'm going to show some 16mm films very soon. So I did a show, and I can't remember if I mentioned this. I did a show, that show about ladders that all had featured all these films with ladders in them, and Facebook marked it and said that this was potentially unsafe, and they took away some of my visibility to my Facebook account because of that. Even though many of the films I showed were ladder safety films. Anyways, Facebook, go down in flames at some point. Can't wait. Okay, so today the theme is airlines, and I got some new stuff, but we're going to start off with a film that I love called Airline Stewardess, which is amazing. Enjoy.
40. You can hear the reason.
Do you hear me? I said...
Seats 1A and 1B. Mother with babe in arms. They're going to join Dad, who has a new job in the Bahamas. Seat 5C. He works in the world of business, and it's his business to travel all over the world. It's a lonely job. The swinger, seat 5B. He's almost as good-looking as he thinks he is. Elaine Vaughn, chief stewardess, flight 403. This is her story.
Hi, I'm sorry to bother you, but I have my uniform here, and the plane leaves in 3 hours. Would it be possible for you to get it for me?
Yes, okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you're a doll. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
begin with is look here at your lipstick. We, as far as stewardesses, must wear something that has a little bit more color on the lips. Inside the airplane, if you wear a silver lipstick or something that's very frosted, it doesn't show up well. It makes you look like you're glowing in the dark. So we like to have something that has some color. Across the outside center shows you where the arch should be, so you're fine as far as eyebrows are concerned. It's important that a stewardess wears her hair short because you'll find that when you're working on the airplane and you're working very hard, taking care of your passengers, you don't have time to take care of your hair. And I think you'll find that with the hat, that a bang is going to be very flattering for you. A little bit of height here in the crown gives your face that overall oval look, which is the ideal look. We work for this in makeup, we work for it in hair as well.
Reporting for flight 403 to Nassau. Okay, thank you. How are you?
Good. Have a nice drive in this morning? Nice weather outside?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah, the weather's nice. Sun is bright as usual.
Good.
Temperature in New York now is 44 degrees.
44.
You don't have any questions?
Good morning. Good morning. Morning. So dull. How are you today? Fine. How are you? Good morning, sir. How are you? Stewardess will show you to your seat. What you said? Be careful. Good morning. Hello? Hello, how are you? Good morning, sir. The stewardess in the back will show you to your seat, all right?
What was that noise?
The landing gear. Don't worry. Everything's fine.
Oh, good afternoon. What's your name?
Elaine Vaughan.
I see.
Excuse me, sir. May I offer you a pillow?
No, I don't want a pillow.
Get me a glass of water.
All right, just one moment. Here you are, sir.
Oh, no ice. No ice.
No ice?
No,
All right, just a minute. Here's your glass of water, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tiger. Isn't he nice? Hello. May I help you?
Yes, could I have his bottle if it's ready, please?
Okay, just a minute. I'll bring it, all right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He's coming. Here, could I have your lunch?
And there's your beer.
Isn't he a nice beer?
Here you are.
Oh, thank you. Also, would you mind watching him for a minute?
No. Let me put the bottle over here.
All right, we'll trade places.
Just a minute. Okay.
Here you are.
You did that correct. Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me, ladies.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That looks pretty good. Did you make it yourself?
No, I wish I could have.
How is it?
It's good. May I offer you some champagne?
Yes, please.
Thank you. You're welcome. And you said?
Please, at the same amount.
That's really medium rare. Can I have a sandwich, please?
Yes, my free coffee is 1 and 1, 1 just cream.
All right.
Thank you. 1 black. Easy.
Paris. Have you ever been to Paris?
No.
That's one city that you should see. It's really nice. Old city, but wonderful. I love it.
I've heard it's a little expensive.
No, not really.
Elaine Bowen was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Elaine's big dream was to fly and to travel. 2 years after graduating from high school, she applied to Pan American World Airways for a job as a stewardess. They hired her and sent her to their International Stewardess College in Miami, Florida. After a 5-week training course, she won the gold wings of the Airline Stewardess. Her next assignment, Chicago to London, Paris, Frankfurt, and Rome.
Wow. So this is part of a series that was targeting African American young people, talking about different career paths. But this is easily the hippest one. There's another one about being an air traffic controller, machinist, commercial photographer, franchise owner, a variety of different ones, but this one is pretty great. And so this reminds me of a documentary that I helped work on that I think came out earlier this year. It's called Fly With Me, and it was on PBS. I think it was part of the American Experience series, and it basically talks about the stewardess and like why that position was created, and then all the struggles, women working, being regulated based on how you looked, how much you weighed, how tall you were, and then also your color. And so there's a whole big thing about that struggle. And one of the things that gave them bargaining tools was being part of a union. And this next film is about made from the AFL-CIO, and it's about airline workers. Enjoy.
The jet is the voice of Americans at work, maintaining and repairing today's commercial aircraft. The voice is not a soft or a gentle one, but rather one that speaks of speed, strength, and safety in the air. The nation's 7,000 airports are busy places, teeming with people returning home, people preparing to leave, people in a hurry somewhere. Speed is what the airlines offer travelers to whom time saved is important. With the new jets, New York to Chicago under 2 hours, coast to coast, Baltimore to San Francisco under 5 hours. 100 years ago, the trip west by covered wagon was measured not in hours, not even in days, but in months. Runways for jets must be at least 1.5 miles to 2 miles long. The pilot needs room to land the aircraft and then to bring the 100 tons of jetliner to a smooth and carefully controlled stop. The arrival of a plane brings the airline's ground servicemen into immediate action. They secure an enclosed ramp to permit passengers to enter the terminal directly from the plane. A jet in flight requires a crew of at least 7, including stewards and stewardesses. A jet on the ground requires 7 times 7 people, loading and unloading it, selling tickets for its flights, preparing meals for its passengers, cleaning it, and most important of all, maintaining and repairing it to make it safe and comfortable for the next flight. As soon as the plane is unloaded, qualified line mechanics taxi or tow it to the maintenance area. It is now the charge of the machinists, who comprise the largest union of all the organized workers in the airlines industry. Before the next flight, aircraft cleaners wash the plane and put the interior in readiness. Today's clean, comfortable seats contrast sharply with the seating arrangement in the forerunners of today's airliners. In the airmail planes of the 20s, a passenger sat between sacks of letters, holding a bag of mail in his lap. He thought he was lucky at that. Like an automobile, a jet needs lubrication. A mechanic works by hand on the landing gear, which must bear the load of the plane at landing and support the fully fueled aircraft at takeoff. The mighty turbojet engines that have revolutionized aviation. These are the responsibility of the power plant mechanic. Lighter and in many ways less complex than the piston engine, the jet burns a mixture of kerosene and air. Exhaust gases, rushing backward through turbines at the rear, push the plane forward with incredible force. 4 jet engines can lift a giant aircraft nearly 8 miles up to smoother air and send it streaking across the sky at 600 miles an hour. As jet travel increases, so grows the need for more and more mechanics who can service these potent power plants. The Machinists' Union trains apprentices in the best maintenance techniques for ever safer air travel. The very power of the jet creates one of its biggest problems: noise. The lion must roar, but mechanics tame the blast by carefully adjusting the sound suppressor, known in maintenance circles as a daisy. By rotating a clamshell, the pilot can reverse the engine's thrust to slow down the plane on landing. Careful servicing is needed for the blades of the turbine through which rush the hot exhaust gases. An aircraft instrument panel, to the layman, a bewildering maze. To the crew, a reassuring up-to-the-second picture of the flight's progress. To the instrument technician, a fascinating electronic challenge to his ingenuity. Technicians regularly move equipment into the instrument repair shop for testing, servicing, and periodically extensive overhaul. They check out fuel flow and the instrument landing system. In bad weather, pilots land under instrument flight rules, which help them through cloud layers into the clearer air above the airport. Technicians must keep up to date with the latest radar systems, standard equipment on the jetliner today. One of the pilots of the 20s on a regular airmail route used a cigar as a navigational instrument in cloudy weather. At takeoff, he lighted it, then climbed above the cloud cover. When the cigar burned to a specified length, he knew it was time to let down through the clouds and look for his landing field. From cigar to radar, the stride forward has been a long one. Careful adjustment of radar in the nose of the jet is essential. The antenna produces a map-like picture of cloud and rain formations on a screen in the cockpit. The pilot then can fly around storms or climb above them. Inside the terminal, air travelers make last-minute preparations. Some like to read in flight, others like to sleep, still others to look down at the world from a new viewpoint. All have one thing in common: they like to fly. We'll take the high road, they say. A feature air travelers always look forward to is mealtime. A tray of tasty, freshly prepared food served by a pretty stewardess. There's a combination hard to beat. The jet age has increased the work of the cooks and bakers of the flight kitchen. The jet carries more passengers, and they are hungrier because the ride, relatively free of vibration, is smoother. When passengers took their chances in open cockpit planes tossed about by air currents, no food was served. No one felt like eating. As flights became less rough, airlines served those hardy pioneer passengers with apples, sandwiches, and coffee from a thermos. The next step forward was a boxed lunch, including such staples as fried chicken and a piece of cake. It was not until the mid-30s that flight kitchens were established at airports. These made possible the hot meal served today. The flight kitchen crew takes particular pride in arranging trays that are attractive to the eye as well as to the taste. Food must be interesting, but cooks find it best to avoid highly seasoned foods for air service. Before a pilot is ready to file his flight plan, he studies all available weather information. If he feels the weather is not safe for flight, there is no flight. In 1919, the airmail pilots held out for and were awarded the right to make the decision to fly or not to fly. The pilot is the captain of a ship that may be carrying 150 persons. Reservations are picked up, baggage is checked, travelers ask themselves, what did I forget? No jet takes off until a flight crew member has made his final walk-around inspection to make sure everything is in order. Just before takeoff, the ramp area becomes a study in movement. The servicemen are busy fitting luggage into baggage baskets. They must load air cargo and mail. A jet can handle up to 4 tons of freight in addition to the passengers' bags. There's always excitement in taking a trip, but there's a special excitement about an airport, about the very idea of flight itself. The jet is squeezing the globe into an ever smaller ball, bringing any airfield in the world as close as one day's flight. A signal from the control tower starts the pilot on his way to the runway. All clear for a swift, comfortable, safe flight. 7 workers on the ground backing up each worker in the air. Maintenance people, servicemen, cooks and bakers, pilots. All organized members of the airline unions of AFL-CIO. Americans at work for you. Americans at Work, presented as a public service by the AFL-CIO. Next week, another story of Americans at Work. Americans whose skill and effort help keep our country great and strong.
I flew to Milwaukee last week, and man, I have the greatest respect for flight attendants and the crew, because people in general suck. They're really difficult to deal with. And I took Southwest, and it was a couple of days after Thanksgiving. And for some reason, going to Milwaukee, I had to go through Tampa. And so Tampa, a lot of retirees were on the flight, and there were 14 wheelchairs waiting for the people. It was crazy. And I had to like assert myself very quickly to say like, hey, I'm going to miss my flight. So I had to jump ahead of a bunch of people to try to make it to my connecting flight. All right. So this is next film is super niche. We love it. This is ice formation on aircraft. Enjoy.
This aircraft is flying through heavy cloud formations in temperatures at or below freezing. The success or failure of this mission may depend entirely upon the pilot's knowledge of the ice which is forming on his aircraft and the steps he should take to avoid its hazards. Without this knowledge, he runs the risk not only of failing in his assigned mission, but even possible loss of aircraft and personnel. It is important to know where ice is likely to form on your aircraft and how it can interfere with normal flight procedures. The ice accumulations which are hazardous to flight can readily form on the leading edges of wings, on the tail assembly, on the windshield, on external radomes and antennas, on propeller blades, in the pitot tube, in carburetors, and in jet engines. Ice accumulation on the wings and on the tail assembly is dangerous because it alters the shape of the airfoils. Airfoils are carefully designed to permit a smooth flow of air over the top and bottom surfaces. Any alteration in the shape of the airfoil will interfere with this smooth flow of air. When ice first appears, it has no serious effect, but gradually it builds forward and along the top and bottom surfaces. As the ice reaches the points of maximum camber, the shape of the airfoil has been drastically changed. Now the airflow is disrupted. Drag is increased and lift reduced. It is the shape rather than the weight of the ice which accounts for icing hazards. Aerodynamic capability is at a minimum. The stall speed of the aircraft is higher than normal, and a dangerous condition exists. Ice may also form on the windshield. An accumulation here can reduce the pilot's visibility to a hazardous degree. It may form a heavy coating over radomes and seriously interfere with the operation of airborne radar. Ice will collect on external antennas and may not only cause malfunction of radio equipment, but under extreme conditions may disrupt radio communications completely. It is impossible to see ice forming on spinning propeller blades, but ice can be seen on the hub dome, and its presence here is usually an indication of propeller icing. Another indication, since propeller ice usually forms unevenly, is exaggerated vibration of the engine and the sound of ice being thrown from the propeller against the fuselage. Again, it is not so much the weight of the ice that endangers flight, but the manner in which the ice alters the shape of the blade. A heavy accumulation can change it from a blade into a rounded, blunt object that is completely ineffective.
unable to take hold and move the aircraft forward. Ice may form inside the pitot tube. The pitot tube activates the aircraft's airspeed indicator, and the result of heavy icing here will be constriction of the flow of air, causing inaccurate airspeed readings for the pilot. Structural ice may form on external surfaces of the aircraft when the outside temperature is at or below freezing. However, even at temperatures above freezing, carburetor icing may occur. This may occur even when flying through clear air with temperatures as high as 25 degrees centigrade if there is sufficient moisture. As the air flows swiftly into the carburetor, the cooling effects of fuel vaporization and air expansion in the venturi reduce the temperature sufficiently to cause the moisture in the air to freeze on the interior surfaces. Carburetor ice has the same effect as gradually closing the throttle. It does not cause rough engine operation, but as the ice slowly constricts the air passage, it does result in an even loss of power and, in turn, a drop in airspeed. When the outside air temperature is at or below freezing, a different icing condition occurs in the carburetor. The temperature inside the carburetor is well below freezing, and there is, in effect, a harmless snowstorm taking place. However, in this situation, ice may still form on the throttle, and it is advisable, whenever structural icing is encountered, to move the throttle occasionally to keep it from sticking. As a general rule, jet engine icing occurs under the same conditions as external structural icing. It is of particular concern in turbojet engines of the axial flow compressor type, where the ice forms over the inlet guide vanes, causing a restriction in airflow. The result is reduced engine thrust, excessive turbine temperature, and probable turbine failure. It should be noted, of course, that jet aircraft have the advantages of high speed to fly rapidly out of icing conditions and high ceilings to fly at altitudes where icing is rarely encountered. In general, it is important to remember that ice reduces the overall aerodynamic efficiency of the aircraft. It increases drag, reduces lift. Stall speed is higher than normal. Fuel consumption is greater. And above all, remember that maneuverability is greatly reduced. Avoid steep turns and fast climbs. And when landing, maintain the power needed to ensure sufficient airspeed to avoid stalling. Even though your aircraft carries de-icing equipment to help limit ice accumulation, your best defense against ice formation on the aircraft is to know how and where ice forms and how to avoid it whenever possible. We may find the two types of ice normally encountered in the structural icing of aircraft in an ordinary household refrigerator. The white granular ice that forms on the freezing compartment is rime ice. It is not very cohesive and can be flaked off easily. The hard, glassy ice in the trays is clear ice. This type of ice is very cohesive and is difficult to break loose. All clouds contain moisture. Wherever this moisture is accompanied by temperatures below freezing, ice will form on aircraft. When clouds are formed in stable air at freezing temperatures and are composed of a comparatively small number of tiny water droplets, conditions are right for the formation of rime ice. Rime ice usually occurs at temperatures from 0 to minus 15 degrees centigrade. As a general rule, at temperatures below minus 15 degrees centigrade in stable clouds, all of the moisture will be frozen into ice crystals and will not adhere to flying aircraft. But rime icing has been observed with temperatures as low as minus 40 degrees centigrade and should be anticipated any time the outside air temperature is below 0 degrees centigrade. When clouds are formed in turbulent air, both rime and clear ice may be encountered. In turbulent clouds, the moisture near the base is in the form of numerous large water droplets. With increased altitude and its colder temperatures, the water droplets become smaller and less numerous, since many droplets freeze into ice. Near the top, the cloud is predominantly composed of tiny frozen ice crystals. The danger to the flying aircraft is not from the ice crystals, but from the water droplets which freeze upon contact. At temperatures below minus 15 degrees centigrade, since the droplets are small and less numerous, rime ice can be expected. Where temperatures are between 0 and minus 15 degrees centigrade, the droplets are large and numerous. In this area, dangerous accumulations of clear ice will form. Another condition that commonly gives rise to the formation of clear ice may be found in a situation where warm, moist air is forced to rise over a colder air mass. Rain or drizzle falling from the above freezing air into air well below freezing becomes freezing rain. Areas of freezing rain produce the most hazardous of all icing conditions, clear ice. When a flying aircraft strikes water droplets, the leading edges of its structures become covered by a film of water. If cooled sufficiently, this film freezes from the inside out, forming a clear, dense, cohesive glaze of clear ice, the most dangerous form of structural ice. Its form is a rounded, blunt shape on the leading edge and may spread over upper and lower surfaces, drastically disrupting the flow of air and causing a considerable loss of efficiency. Clear ice can accumulate rapidly and will adhere firmly when it forms. Rime ice is somewhat less dangerous than clear ice since it accumulates more slowly and is easier to dislodge. It forms at lower temperatures where the water droplets are smaller and less numerous. Each droplet that strikes the aircraft freezes before another strikes on top of it. The resulting accumulation will be in the form of tiny pellets frozen together in a spongy mass. Rime ice usually forms a sharp protruding ridge which does not affect the flow of air as extremely as a clear ice formation does. Very often, the ice that forms will be a combination of rime and clear, an irregular conglomerate, forming a rough, blunt mass which can build up to serious proportions. Before any flight, the pilot should obtain from his weather officer a complete picture of any icing conditions along his route. In addition, there are several basic flight rules that should be observed. Never fly into a region where icing conditions are known to exist or are suspected. In any cloud where temperatures are 0 degrees centigrade or below, icing conditions should be suspected. Fly over or around such clouds whenever possible. When penetration of the cloud is unavoidable, select an altitude where the temperature is such that icing is least probable. If temperature distribution data are not available, you can apply the temperature lapse rate rule. Let us assume that you are flying at 9,000 feet and the outside temperature is minus 4 degrees centigrade. You can determine the approximate temperature at any other altitude, since the temperature changes 2 degrees centigrade with each 1,000-foot change of altitude in moist air. As we have seen, the area of most dangerous icing is between 0 and minus 15 degrees centigrade. Applying the lapse rate rule, you can determine that approximately 5,000 feet below your present altitude, you are likely to find temperatures about 6 degrees above freezing. At this level, structural icing is unlikely. When landing at an airport which is overcast and where icing conditions exist, the pilot who uses the normal slow descent will break out underneath the clouds with his aircraft heavily iced. Under these conditions, the landing descent or takeoff climb should be accomplished as rapidly as possible to shorten the time spent in the clouds. Icing is often severe in upslope conditions where vertical air currents cause turbulence in clouds above mountains, particularly on the windward side. Regions of clear icing may extend 4,000 feet or higher above the tops of the mountains, with rime icing above the area of clear icing. A pilot taking off on the windward side of a mountain must avoid the danger zone which lies across his normal flight path. Conduct your ascent away from the mountains until sufficient altitude is gained to fly over the danger zone. Accordingly, when landing at the same airport, fly well to windward of the mountain before descending. As we have seen, areas of freezing rain are the most hazardous for structural icing. This pilot is flying through rain at freezing temperatures. If he continues at this level, the aircraft will quickly accumulate a dangerous amount of ice. In such a situation, you must immediately find warmer air with temperatures above freezing, or turn back. Judging from the information gained in your pre-flight weather briefing and knowledge of the standard temperature lapse rate, you may find there is above freezing air below. With ample terrain clearance, descend as rapidly as possible to the lower altitude. However, descent to warmer air is not always possible. This pilot is flying through freezing rain at a minimum altitude. He is becoming badly iced, but does not have adequate terrain clearance to descend safely. In this case, if from your pre-flight briefing you know the location of the warmer air from which the rain is falling and can reach it quickly, you may climb out of the freezing rain. As soon as you reach above freezing temperatures, you should level off and proceed at this altitude. Because applying the temperature lapse rate rule, you know that higher in the cloud, icing conditions will again be encountered. Sleet is an accumulation of small water particles that have frozen during their fall through cold air. Since it is already frozen, sleet does not adhere to your aircraft and presents no serious problem. Realize, though, that sleet indicates liquid moisture aloft, and proceed without changing altitude. It is important to remember, however, that freezing rain may be mixed with sleet. Whenever liquid moisture is present at freezing temperatures, a dangerous situation exists, and the corrective measures previously discussed should be considered. Falling snow indicates that temperatures aloft are well below freezing. As long as the temperature of the air remains cold enough, the snow will stay dry and well frozen. But at temperatures closer to the freezing level, the snow will begin to melt and become wet. This pilot is encountering falling snow along his flight path. Since he is flying in temperatures near the freezing point, the snow is wet. It melts when it hits his aircraft and refreezes, building up a rough ice formation. Upon encountering wet snow, climb toward colder temperatures where the snow is drier and will not stick to your aircraft. Even an aircraft stationary on the ground may collect a coating of ice, frost, or snow. Deposits of this kind, which reduce aerodynamic efficiency and may cause flight surfaces to bind, should be thoroughly cleaned from the aircraft before takeoff. As we have seen, when flying through any form of liquid moisture at temperatures of 0 degrees centigrade or lower, ice formation on aircraft can be expected. It can reduce the aerodynamic efficiency of wings and tail assembly, seriously affect visibility through the windshield, and the operation of radar and radio equipment. It can impair the efficiency of the propellers and constrict air passages in the pitot tube, in carburetors, and in jet engine air inlets. Before any flight, make a thorough study with your weather officer of icing conditions which may exist along your route. Never continue a flight into icing conditions. Fly over or around such conditions whenever possible. While the de-icing equipment on your aircraft will help minimize icing in many situations, remember your best defense against icing hazards is to know where you may encounter them and to avoid them whenever possible.
Marion,
Yes.
that flight I need next week, could you make sure I'm on a DC-10?
Okay.
And could you make it a flight with the coach pub?
Sure.
And with the double feature films?
No trouble.
For specially condensed double feature films and the only coach pub in the sky, there's only one airline to call.
Continental Airlines.
I'd like to make a reservation.
Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
My husband said we were flying economy excursion this summer to save 28%. Well, since there's no lower fare, I brought things to keep us busy on the plane. But we saw 2 feature films, cartoons, and newsreels on Continental's DC-10 at no extra cost, and played pub pong in the coach lounge. With Continental, we got more than we bargained for.
On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
Half the fun of Continental Airlines California Fly Drive vacations is Continental, with free stereo on our spacious 727s. The other half is California. You get a rental car with unlimited mileage and choice of hotels. The scenic route in Los Angeles leads to Disneyland and the new Space Mountain attraction, then to exciting San Diego and on to San Francisco. See California your way. Fly our way.
If you can't fly Continental,
Try to have a nice trip anyway.
Fly Continental to the islands of Hawaii, like my wife, my son, my daughter, and like me. It's the only way to do it when you want to Honolulu it. It's their best Hawaiian deal up in the sky. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What, you get a car for driving all around the aisles. There's no limit on the fun or on the miles. So come across in Continental. They include the auto rental for a week of Wakakin with a smile. If you can't fly Continental, who'll move their tail for you?
Going on vacation? On Continental Airlines, it starts the moment you step on board.
we really move our tail for you.
It's roomy. It's relaxing.
It's delicious.
To make your every wish come true.
They can even arrange the things we forgot in the air.
On Continental Airlines,
Wow. Hot dogs and potato chips.
we really move our tail for you.
Continental Airlines, the proud bird with the golden tail.
What are passengers laughing about on this Continental DC-10? We'll show you. See animated cartoons and old-time movie serials at no extra charge. And the pub is back for fun and games with electronic pub pong. Fly Continental's DC-10s and we'll show you how to laugh again, just in case you've forgotten how.
Continental Airlines, we'll show you.
Continental Airlines has all kinds of economy fares to all kinds of vacation places.
We really move our tail for you.
Oh, we're dining with friends later.
So we fly economy.
To make your every wish come true.
Economy seats are great. Saves me some bucks, too.
On Continental Airlines.
So I skipped a meal and saved a little.
We really move our tail for you.
Continental Airlines, the proud bird with the golden tail.
Come visit us in Hawaii. The great proud birds of Continental Airlines will bring you here in the very nicest way. They move like a million hummingbirds to do your every wish with food and drink and loving care. Continental Airlines will fly you to Hawaii.
For not so many bucks.
On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
7 out of 10 who fly Continental Airlines fly us again.
We really move our tail for you to make your every wish come true. On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
7 out of 10 who fly us again. We're working on the other 3.
On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you. We're here to make you happy, we're out to prove it's true. On Continental Airlines, we move our tail for you. We really move our tail for you to make your every wish come true. On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
Fly with us to Chicago on Continental Airlines. We'll really move our tail for you.
To make you happy, we're out to make you pleased. You're flying Continental, your flights will be a breeze. We'll hop to make you happy, we'll skip to prove it's true. On Continental Airlines, we move our tail for you. We really move our tail for you to make your every wish come true. On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
Fly with us to Chicago on Continental Airlines. We'll do a little more for you a lot faster to make this the nicest flight you've ever flown. Like we say at Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
We really move our tail for you to make your every wish come true. On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you. We're here to make you happy, we're out to prove it's true. On Continental Airlines, we move our tail for you. We really move our tail for you to make your every wish come true. On Continental Airlines, we really move our tail for you.
Continental Airlines, we'll really move our tail for you.
Yeah. I love it. I can't remember who bought Continental. I think it was United, which is too bad. I actually like Continental because early on when I was going to Texas to do screenings in Houston at the Aurora Picture Show, I would take Continental all the time. Thanks for joining us today. Nathan, thank you so much for your donation. You can donate to us via the Super Thanks button in the comments, or go to ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. You can also support us by just hitting the thumbs up or liking what we do and joining us and commenting. You can also watch other films that we're actively uploading to our YouTube channel, because we have a bunch. We've been going through some stuff that we did for the Prelinger archive that's not on our channel. We've also been going through our stuff. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't put online that we just kind of missed. So there's a lot of new stuff there. And by new stuff, I mean old films. But everybody have a great weekend, and we will join you on Monday. Thanks again so much for flying with us, and we hope you will fly with us again as we move our tails for you. Take care.